What a head, son! What a head!
Yes, lads. OB's turned up in the nick of time. Welcome back to Onto the Ball for Arsenal 0, Liverpool 2, FA Cup third round at the Emirates. Liverpool, you never cease to amaze me. Luis Diaz, take a bow, son. Virgil van Kwanzaa. I mean, Obi, how high is that kid's ceiling? He was absolutely amazing. Joe Gomez at left back, like Paolo Maldini. Trent Alexander-Arnold, again, showing why he's world class. The list goes on. Obi, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm really, really good. Thank you. Wow. These boys have got no ceiling if you listen to that intro. But I mean, to be quite honest, I thought first half, we were maybe playing about with the ball a bit too much, falling some of their traps. Klopp obviously spoke to the boys at halftime, made the adjustments, and I thought second half we were the better team. We're clearly more clinical than they are, but then I think any team's more clinical than Arsenal are at the moment. And we just took our chances, and I thought we deserved it on the performance in the second half, and the fact that the lads at the back done so well in the first half. Really,
it was a game of two halves, wasn't it, Trav? You were texting me at halftime saying how dead it was. Neil was texting saying that the only thing this game is going to have taught us is that Arsenal need a gunman, and then my God, the second half it flipped on its head.
Yeah, definitely. I think Obi nailed it in his analysis, really sort of like that clinical nature. And I think Liverpool, the amount of firepower they've got, they can beat anyone, even if they're not playing well. And I think in the first half, you're going to get that going to a big away ground, whether it's in the cup or in the league. You do have to ride your luck a bit. I think they did ride their luck in terms of the chances that Arsenal missed. But the longer it went on 0-0, I think that suited Liverpool. And once they got the goal, there was no way back. I thought Liverpool would go on to win it. I didn't know whether you'd get the second goal or not. But once you got the first goal, then you ran out deserving winners, because you got to take your chances in football, and that's what it's all about. And Liverpool have done that and through to the next round.
Oh, massively. Obi, I'm a bit deluded here, but I think we had the better chances. We hit the bar twice. Trent could have and should have scored. We obviously scored 2 in the end, so that's 4. Did Arsenal have... I mean, I know the commentators, Alan Shearer, I thought they were going a bit over the top. Oh, there should be 5-0 up here. And I'm thinking, look, they're chances. But when you got a world-class goalkeeper like we have, you know, not every chance goes in, Al.
I think Arsenal overplay the ball in the opposition's 18-yard box, and someone just needs to shoot. I mean, I think there was one, was it Havertz, where he touched the ball about 4 times before he shot. And it was like, you're just missing the chance. You're just missing the opportunity. Whereas you see with us, we get the chance and someone tries to get one off, you know what I mean? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I thought they had a lot of chances early on in the game. I think they still had a few chances towards the end, but we were certainly got a lot of chances in the second half ourselves. And I mean, the ball that Nunez should have played through to Diaz, and I mean, that was a really big chance. I don't understand how Jota out jumps. Was that Saliba? When he hit the bar,
I don't know who it was, but I think it was.
It was.
It was some leap. It's like Ronaldo-esque in the way he jumped, and he just jumped above a guy who's about a foot taller than him. So a massive moment. I think when Jota come on, we looked like we had a lot more potency to us. We looked like a bit more organised. I thought Diaz done a really good stint on that side. I think I prefer him on that side to what we went with in the first half. And we just come into the game, and then when we're winning a game, to put on a couple of young lads and trust them.
Were they not on before we went 1-0, Obi?
No,
I think it was 1-0.
1-0.
I think he won it 1-0. Yeah, I'm not sure though, Scott. I mean, but the thing is, he's trusting them anyway.
The right back, he did well when he come on. What was his name?
Bradley. Bradley.
Yeah,
he's good. He is. Yeah.
Defensively, very solid.
He's well thought of within the club, and then the other lad, Bobby Clark. I think Shearer mentioned it. He's actually Lee Clark's son, isn't he? He used to play for Newcastle, so he is.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So he's like from quite a football pedigree, and he's quality as well. I mean, he took a really, really clever yellow card as well when he needed to. When they were trying to break, I think a few of them did towards the end. But I think Arteta's kind of been worked out a little bit. I really do.
They're struggling, aren't they?
Everything's coming through Saka. I think Odegaard is nowhere near the levels that everybody expected him to kick on to. I just don't see. I don't see what they're trying to do a lot of the time. It's like they're trying to literally touch the ball about 1,000 times before they put it in. And it's like, you don't need to be doing that. I think they overplay. And I think the amount of time the ball goes through Saka, you can start to work out. They're starting to be found out in the patterns of play. I think the ball's coming through to Saka too often. And you watch what Gomez done today. He was just trying to get on top of him as quick as he could. They doubled up on him quite a number of times, and we kind of had a game plan for him. And it does make me think that Arteta needs to try something different. I was worried when Martinelli came on, but I mean, to be honest, I think the even when he was getting the ball into the box, there's no one there to finish it anyway. So it's almost like you don't have to worry so much because you know nobody's going to get on the end of it every single time. And they need a striker, don't they? They need to buy a striker in January because that's what they're 100% missing. And he also needs to tell them at points they need to be more direct and they need to be getting the ball into a main target man. And maybe that's come about because they don't trust Nketiah and when Jesus is playing in there and when Havertz is playing in there to be able to finish it. So they're now not crossing the ball and they're now trying to create these little weird patterns of play. But there's certainly something not right with that Arsenal team this season.
Sorry if you want to make a point, Trav. I've just checked. Clark and Bradley come on at 0-0.
Oh, was it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's even more brave then, isn't it? That's really brave, that is. To
4 minutes later, we went 1-0 up. Barry's in the comments. How you doing, Barry? Cheers for coming back, mate. Delighted with a win. Stop these Arsenal fans talking nonsense. Oh, I love it. Yeah, look, Arsenal are struggling at the minute, OB. And someone nicked my saying the other day. They said that Arteta spoke about the Anfield washing machine. And I was like, no, it's the Anfield tumble dryer. And you are my witness that I coined that phrase about 5 years ago when we were winning leagues and Champions Leagues. And someone nicked it, crediting Arteta with it. But OB, Arsenal season fell apart last season at Anfield. It all unravelled. They've gone to Anfield, scraped a draw, in my opinion, with the Odegaard handball. They're now winless in 4.
Yeah, agree. And I do think that they're being found out tactically. I think that, and this is a big claim, I would say that Partey is a big miss for them. Because I don't think Rice is dominating the games as much as the English press are telling us he is. He's a good player. But I don't think Partey. I think they're missing that. When Partey was playing last year at the top of his pomp, he was making a difference in football games, and he was everywhere. And I think Rice is good, but he's probably quite limited in what he can and can't do. And I know that's a bit of a big call, and I know a lot of Arsenal fans will get upset. And it's the old English thing of this guy's absolutely amazing, but Thomas Partey was in a lot of form last year, and he was making Arsenal tick. And when he dropped out of form, at that very moment, Arsenal fell apart in the league last season, and I think they're missing someone really to take the game by the scruff of the neck in the middle of the park. They're missing a lot of chances, and Odegaard ain't the player that everybody thought he was going to be. He's certainly not, or if he is, he's certainly not showing it. Back end of last season, and certainly most of this.
I think with Rice, I think with Partey being out, it means Rice sort of plays a lot deeper than he probably wants to. And like you said, when the ball turns over, what Partey's so good at, it's turning defense into attack, and Arsenal probably missed that. I think with Odegaard as well, just to elaborate on your point, that means Odegaard's probably having to come deeper to get the ball. So he's not in the areas he was last season. I mean, with his numbers last year, he was in the box a lot more, finishing stuff off and playing the last pass. He got a lot of assists as well. I think with the areas that he's getting into now are a lot deeper. He's like, it looks like he's having to link the play a lot higher, and it's not suiting him. So yeah, like you said, I think the Partey thing is huge for them, a huge miss. It just means the balance in the midfield is just not quite right at the minute for them.
Yeah, absolutely. If you watch Rice as well, Rice will win the ball and play a sideways pass. Partey was, to your point, Trav, he was going forward and he was driving and then looking for a forward opportunity. and that makes the team naturally more direct. Whereas Rice is winning the ball and going sideways into wide areas where they're going to build something.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the other team get the opportunity to set themselves, and I think that is slowing them slightly from back to the front. So it's interesting. It's a different way of playing. I'm sure Arteta's got them doing certain drills and certain ways of playing to accommodate for that, but it just doesn't seem to be working in the games. Certainly since just before Christmas.
Since they come to that Anfield tumble dryer. Listen, you can't discount the season that Xhaka had last season. You're not telling me that Kai Havertz, when he's playing that number 8, Jorginho was in the midfield today. These are downgrades on the season Xhaka had last season, but in particular Kai Havertz today. How wasteful is he?
There was one opportunity where the ball went through to him. It was a really good pass, and he missed the ball completely. And I mean, it could be Vitelli, but I thought he should have took it. And you hear a lot of groans from the crowd, so I think he's just completely missed the ball. And it's
the cameras were a bit off. Obi, did you notice that as well?
Yeah.
When it went from frame to frame, it'd be a second behind.
Yeah.
That was quite annoying. I noticed that, so it might have been that. But yeah, I mean, he had a day to forget today, trying to cover for Gabriel Jesus, and then Eddie Nketiah was like kicking his heels on the subs bench.
Yeah, but the thing is, none of the three of them will ever score enough goals. And Arteta knows that, and every football supporter knows that. You can see it. And ultimately, if they had, and I'm going to throw names out here, if they had Harry Kane up front, they'd be challenging. They'd won some of the games over Christmas. You know what I mean? It's almost like they need to go in and they need to get somebody who's going to score a lot of goals, someone who's absolutely on it. I mean, I think both the North London clubs need Ivan Toney in this window. It would just be interesting to see how that plays out.
It's just mad because obviously if they're quoting 100 million, Ivan Toney's 28 on his next birthday. So personally, I wouldn't go anywhere near. But when you've got Darwin Núñez, he's 24 OB. He's missed, let's just call it, I was going to say a hatful, not a hatful of chances. He's missed a handful of chances again today. He's still in that, when he cut it back for Diaz in that second half, when it opened up for him.
Goal at the end as well.
Do you know what, though? I actually turned around to my boys and said, it's okay. He knew it was when he was heading it back. He never hits the target anyway. So you say, you know, it was like he knew it weren't going in because it never goes in. So he just was like, yeah, I'll just head it. I'll be fine.
And then when Jota hit the bar and you seen it bobble around, it fell to someone's feet. And I seen that number 9 and I was like, oh, for God's sake, I know where this is going, up in the row Z. He had. Did he have a day to forget? We've just beat Arsenal 2-0 away
I thought his movement and running and hold-up play, I mean, some of his hold-up play was fantastic. His overall game was actually really, really good.
Yeah. Is it enough? Is it going to be giving Jota, Gakpo, Salah, Diaz opportunities?
Maybe one of them.
Maybe I'm an idiot.
If he didn't win today, he'd be getting a lot more pelters, wouldn't he? It's one of them. Like, it could. Do you know what I mean? I think in the games where they're pivotal and you don't win the games and he misses the amount of chances that he's getting, not really today's game. I don't think there was really a standout chance where you thought, oh my gosh, he should have bagged that. I think in previous games, there's been quite a few reels of the misses that he's done, but I don't know. Like you said, he's still got age on his side. I wouldn't give up on him just yet. He offers plenty in game that he's doing pretty decent. He's not the most composed finisher. Let's be honest. He's not very clinical at the moment. Whether he gets that within 18 months to 2 years, we'll just see. I think next season's going to be huge for him. Depending on what happens this season, I think next season there'll be a lot of pressure on him to start delivering the sort of numbers, because obviously Salah will be a year older. You'll be probably not looking to phase him out necessarily, but I think in the back of Klopp's mind, he'll be thinking about what's next after Mo. You know what I mean? I think that's probably the biggest thing that he will take from today's game. Diaz on the right must be a godsend for him, because obviously with Salah going AFCON and Diaz playing out on the right, playing really well and getting a goal as well, that's going to soften the blow of him going to AFCON. So yeah, there's plenty of positives. I won't give up on Núñez just yet, but I think there'll be bigger games than this game today where you'll probably need him to really deliver.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, let's just talk about the game. It was a frenetic first 10 minutes. We had to weather the storm probably through the whole of the first half, but I thought Jurgen Klopp got it a bit wrong in the first half, OB. And obviously it was proven that in the second half, Harvey Elliott is not a right winger. He should have tried probably Gakpo was my favourite, maybe Nunes on the right. It turned out Diaz ended up on the right for a lot of the second half, but it was just, we were fortunate to go in at halftime 0-0. But at the same time, I think we still had the best chance with Trent Arnold hitting the bar.
Yeah. I mean, it was a strange one, wasn't it? I mean, they had a lot of what I thought were good chances, not absolute cutting edge. They should have scored chances. But the defense was laboured, and we were spending too long trying to play the right ball. And I think Gomez got robbed once of the ball. It happened to a couple of other ones where we were playing it into we were basically closing ourselves down because of the way they were pressing. And I think I sent a message to yourself, Scott, saying need to play the ball longer at points, because that's where the joy is. Because if there's 6 of them pressing, there's only 5 people to get, or 4 people plus a keeper to get past after that. And there must have been space at the park. That's the trouble with a telly, is you can't always see it, but we must have had opportunity to get the ball out. And I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work around them. Whereas sometimes, I mean, you see Van Dijk do it quite a long. He'll just play a long ball. And as the game was going on, you saw Trent playing these longer balls more often. And we were getting joy because Nunes was running into some really good areas, and Diaz did it as well. And it worked well. I thought Jota provided a lot of energy when he came on as well. And I think he gave Arsenal something different to think about. They had to then work out what he was going to do in the runs he makes. He always seems to find himself in space. If you watch, when the ball comes through, he's always the guy to play the ball off to. And I don't know where he gets that from. His movement is so good. And it caused them a lot of problems in the second half. And they didn't really know what to do. I thought Rice was a bit all over the place second half. I thought he looked like he was trying to cover a large amount of space. And it's like we'd almost tried deliberately to stretch him and then stretch their back line. And I don't think they coped with it very well. I mean, it's all good, isn't it, at the end of the day? I mean, for all that Jurgen probably got his tactics wrong in the first half, it gave us the opportunity. To try something different in the second half, and it seemed to click so well that it might be how we take it into the future games, which is massive for us, really, because you stumble across solutions in a game, and they can be your solution going forward.
Absolutely. And it feels weird to make this statement, but Jota coming on after 60 minutes, who loves a goal against Arsenal, that was plan A, wasn't it? How can a sub be plan A? But it was keep it tight, still be in the game away at the Emirates, and then bring Jota on. And you could see the fear in Arsenal. I don't know why Jota is so effective against Arsenal, but he is. But he ran them ragged. Most underrated. I've done a short on it. He's the most underrated player in the Premier League for me.
He did. And he causes a lot of problems with his movement. And his energy, it's just bursting, isn't it? He come on and he just looks like he wants to get the ball. He'll give away the odd foul. It'll just be an absolute pain in the arse. And that's exactly what Klopp wants from a footballer. He wants a player who's just in somebody's face all the time. Give us 30 minutes of absolute, blood and thunder. And he's just caused them so many problems. And I think they then started to try and work out something different to deal with him that then caused them to drop back a little bit. Their back line must have dropped a few yards, and I just don't think they fancied it against Jota for some reason.
It pulled them all over the place, didn't it? Did you notice it, Trav? Nunes went to the left, Diaz to the right. And I'm sorry, Obi, I know we're giving Nunes absolute stick, but he deserves it. He's not got the brains to play centrally.
No,
when I seen him on the left, so he knows he's only got one direction to go, is either down the left or cut inside. It minimizes the thinking he has to do, and he looks effective. If Nunes is to succeed as a Liverpool player, it's only as a left winger. So if Diaz is on the right while Salah's away, Jota or Gakpo through the centre, we're cooking.
I think what I like about Jota is 2 things. He travels so well with the ball, like at pace as well. And like you said, that's why the defense has to drop, because they're just so scared of his pacing behind. I think as well, he drops into good spaces. Do you know, like sort of what Firmino did in those little pockets of space just in front of the back four, and they don't know whether to go tight or not. And that's why whenever he gets the ball, he always seems to be able to turn. But I think his movement and his intelligence and his awareness is fantastic. But I think as well, in a squad, you always need those players that, I don't want to say are happy coming off the bench, but some players are better impact players. I mean, he does do well when he starts as well, to be honest. He doesn't start often, but when he does well, he starts. But I just think he's so effective coming off the bench. He just gives you a different dimension. So long may it continue. It's a squad game. Do you know what I mean? You're still in the hunt for 4 trophies. So let's keep going.
Absolutely.
The thing is, Jota doesn't get the credit he deserves, hence why we say he's the most underrated player. But do you remember that legendary Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher thing where Neville said that Van Persie's like a burglar in your house, and Carragher was like, you'd be under the bed. Jota's like that. You don't know where he is. He can, as Trav just alluded to, the game can pass him by, but the next minute with his movement, he's just in the game and he can nick a goal. He gets quite a bit of criticism on Twitter from obviously some of the negative Liverpool accounts, saying he's done another 5 out of 10 performance, but nicked a goal, which makes him a 7 out of 10. I think that's a little bit unfair. Every team needs a Diogo Jota, whether it's from the start or off the bench.
In this world of when people watch football on the telly, they don't see the full game, so therefore they won't see the movement that players make. So when you watch a game on the telly, you can always say it looked like it was this, it looked like it was that, but there's a lot of movement goes on. And having occasionally watched Jota live, his movement is fantastic. And what he does is, and Trav mentioned it, he'll either come short or he'll go long, or he'll do something different every time. So the defenders don't know. They're not comfortable. They're never comfortable around him. I don't think the Arsenal defenders fancy playing against him. I think it was quite obvious from the moment he come on. I think they changed the way they approach defending. I felt like they took a step back. I felt like they then gave him more space to come short. It's like they were worried he was going to make that movement and run in behind, so they didn't let it happen. But a few times he got the ball, they looked like they were panicking around him and they didn't know what to do. And that's what you want. I mean, ultimately, now football isn't about 11 players. It's about 16 in the Premier League, and it's the impact and the quality of what you can bring off the bench. And we've seen it so many times, particularly with City, where they bring on 5 subs that are either better than what they've got on the pitch or as good, and they're fresh, and they'll bring a different problem. And I think that makes a massive difference. And Liverpool having them 5 mainline strikers, and rotating them and occasionally playing certain players off the bench, it's been massive for us this season. It's been massive in the midfield as well. How many times has Harvey Elliott been almost man of the match coming off the bench? You know, when it's like, that matters more and more, and the squad depth and the quality of quality that you have on the bench makes such a massive difference, because they're just, the energy that players have to expend is so massive now. After 60 minutes, it's only natural that some of the players will drop in performance level, and then you bring on somebody who's either as good or better, and it does make a massive difference. And we've seen that again today with Jota, with his energy. We've seen it with the 2 young lads. We've seen it with Gravenberch, who come on. And I thought he had a really positive impact when McAllister was maybe looking a little bit tired. He's only just come back. And that matters massively. And that's a big part of the game now.
Oh, huge. I think like I've said in the last stream, Obi, I feel like you've called it before anyone, but if we're going to win this league, I'd love to see the stat of impact off the bench. And in fact, that graphic BBC put up today on that game, I don't know if any of you noticed it, but Liverpool goals after the 75th minute, 17. 17, yeah. The next most was like 12, couple on 12. I mean, that's 19 now, because both of them were scored after the 75th minute. But yeah, and our bench, it did look a bit threadbare today, and naturally it would. Missing Endo, missing Salah. We've still got a couple out injured. Thiago, Robertson, Tsimikas, Van Dijk didn't make it, Matip. So we've got a lot injured. So no wonder the bench looked a bit thin, but then still the players come off the bench and turned the game. But the one thing I said before the game, OB, is that I was just so glad Alisson played. I'm so glad that Klopp seen the magnitude of the game. Yeah, it's only the FA Cup. Yeah, it's only the 3rd round. Long way to go, but you've got to play your world-class goalkeeper in a game like this.
I think as well with the 2 centre-backs. So, I mean, although I thought, we haven't even got onto him yet, but Konate was absolutely fantastic, and so was Kwanzaa. I think they're not our first and second choice. You know what I mean? They're not at the club, so it was always Van Dijk and Matip. And I think to have Alisson behind him, able to talk them through the game is huge. And I think that's probably been in his thoughts to put if I put Kelleher in there today with them two, I'm probably leaving them all a little bit exposed. But imagine Alisson talked them through the game really, really well.
We've got to say a word about Virgil van Quanza, OB. I mean, I did write in our Liverpool group chat that he was a little bit loose with his passing in the first half. Not so much his passing, but in critical areas of pumping it in at the middle of the field, losing it, and it was putting us under pressure. But he's only a young lad. He's just gone to the Emirates and kept a clean sheet against one of the best teams in the league. I mean, we've got to give him props. It's such an exciting player coming through. How high is his ceiling?
I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting to see. It looks like he's got all the attributes. I suppose it's about how he develops and how much game time he can get over the next sort of season or two to see where he is. He has really stepped up from coming in after the Matip injury and starting to play in some of the midweek games, and then to being thrown into that today. That's absolutely huge, and to have the trust in him to be able to do that in such a big game is massive as well. I mean, I thought Kanate was very verbal today as well, and that's the first time I've seen him do that. So it feels like a coming of age for him.
Proper leader today, wasn't he?
Yeah, Shearer gave him man of the match, and rightly so. I mean, I think Martinelli went past Trent twice in quick succession as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
And both times Kanate just snubbed it out, and he was like, it's not happening. And you see him afterwards, he's not reveling in it. He's basically going at Trent and saying, you need to be covering that. You need to make sure it doesn't happen again. Reorganising the defence for the corner the second time round. And I just think that's massive to see somebody get more verbal, become a natural leader on the pitch. And I think that's obviously helped us today as well. And I thought he was man of the match.
And for me, I can't remember if he was the actual man of the match, but everyone was raving about Saliba after the game at Anfield. And I tweeted Saliba wasn't even the best centre-back on the park. Kanate was. Obviously, he's got his injury problems. If he could stay a whole season fit, wonderful things could happen. Trav, is that the only thing stopping Kanate from being mentioned when people talk about the top 5 centre-backs in the whole league?
Yeah, I mean, well, they're both French internationals. I think with Kanate, maybe one of the reasons why he gets injured a lot is because he doesn't play all the time. Some players need to play all the time to stay fit in a weird way. When they're in and out the team, they do pick up injuries because they're not playing at that competitive level. But there is no doubt when he plays and plays consistently, he's an unbelievable centre half. And with Liverpool, the way they play with their fullbacks generally so high, I think Klopp likes his centre backs to be able to defend in wide areas and on their own. And he is probably one of the best.
That's probably his best attribute, isn't it? When he covers that right back spot.
Yeah, he's so good at it. And the thing, just to touch on the other centre half, is it Quanza? Is that how you say it?
Quanza, yeah.
Well, it must be good because Klopp wouldn't play someone. I mean, if you look at previous years when you've had injuries or people out, he's gone and dipped into the loan market and stuff like that. He wouldn't play somebody who he didn't trust. So for him to throw a youngster in and start him in a game of that magnitude, he is going to be a player. And there's no one better than judging players than Klopp himself. He is a fantastic judge of character and ability. So I think this Quanza's got a bright future. How old is he? Like 20? Something?
20.
20, there you go. Do you know what I mean? 20, getting a clean sheet at the Emirates. It's been a great start. And he's not put a foot wrong, really, since he's been in the games. I think he's probably made about 3-4 appearances now, and he's done very well. So yeah, long may it continue for him. He'll be full of confidence, and it's good for Liverpool going forward with the injuries that Kanate gets. Obviously, Matip being out, knowing that you can trust somebody like him to play there.
Is he English? Does anyone know? I'm just about to look.
I don't know.
He's not a Scouser, is he?
I don't actually know. I don't really know. I've not really looked at him that much, but he's a good player. Is he English?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
It says here his contract expires in June this year. I hope that's not true.
No, he'll get a new deal. 100% he'll get a new deal.
I don't think he'll want to go anywhere, will he? I mean, where would he go? Where would he want to go, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lads, I've got to jump in the comments. So sorry, Jose's firing loads of comments. Cheers for joining, Jose, legend. He says, I just hope everyone apologizes to me one day for everything I keep saying about Arsenal for the last 2 years. OB, Jose, has echoed pretty much everything you're saying. Whenever I'm worried about Arsenal, I think they're the real deal. OB always calms me down and says, no matter what position they will get in, they will bottle it in the end, Scott. Chill the fuck out. Anyways, good afternoon, goats. Good afternoon to you too. Like, subscribe. Cheers, Jose.
Cheers,
why did I not receive notifications for this? I'm not sure, mate. Maybe you've turned them off. I hope not, Jose. Nunez is so dangerous from the left. Another good game, but I guess his job is to score goals. That's the thing. When you're brought in as a striker, you're obviously so much judged on scoring goals that it's one of them. I mean, we've already touched on it. It doesn't matter how effective he was in the channels or pulling defenders around to create space for other people. But in the case of Nunez, OB, it's not even about his stats, is it? He gets chance after chance after chance and misses them all.
I think that's the problem. So we've had strikers at the club who aren't particularly prolific, but they're so good at linking up. So obviously, Roberto Firmino is the obvious one. He didn't score an awful lot of goals. He scored enough just to keep ticking over. And I imagine his record probably was never really that much better than what Nunez has been doing. The difference with Nunez is getting gilt-edged chances in lots of games and he's missing them. Whereas I imagine that Firmino, his success rate in big chances was quite good, but it was because he was dropping and spinning the play and linking in with the other two forwards that he done it so effectively that they were getting more chances than he were, and they were both scoring a lot more goals than he was, and everybody was happy. I think the issue is that Nunez is missing a lot of big chances.
Did you notice when Kwanzaa took a free kick, OB, on about 35 minutes, I think it was, and he punted it upfield, decent free kick, and Nunez was offside?
Yeah.
Did you notice it? And I thought of you at that moment.
Yeah.
I thought, if you can't even stay onside from a free kick and a half playing up the field into the Arsenal half, then what chance have we got? But that sums him up. He's half sharp, OB, I swear.
No, I know. It's so annoying to see. But then I've seen other top strikers do it as well when they're offside and they shouldn't be, and they're looking down the line. There was one where Havertz was offside and he could literally see he was offside.
Yeah.
When it played through, he was offside. It was like, what made you think that was okay? You know what I mean? These guys get paid a lot of money to do that. And it's like, that's basic. Why didn't he just hold his run for a little bit? And he knows his bar. So even if he thinks, or maybe it's tight, he just needs to hold his run. Absolutely brainless.
It's mad, isn't it?
Where do you think it leaves Liverpool now then? Obviously, he's still 4 trophies. You're still in all 4 competitions. Sailed through in the Europa League, obviously through in the FA Cup today. You're in a semi-final of the EFL Cup, top of the league. So, I mean, what would be a good season, do you think, from this point, with the way the squad is, with the depth of the squad? Would you say one trophy?
That's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's a hard one. I mean, from our perspective, I'd say the Carabao Cup has opened itself up to being a real chance.
Yeah.
From the teams that are still in it. And who we've got in the semi-final. It's no disrespect to Fulham because they can go and batter teams 4 and 5-0 at will. So we've got to be very, very wary of that. I would say the FA Cup totally depends on the draw because it's just one game. So you could get City away in the next round, and then suddenly it becomes really difficult to see a path through. And then you'd have to be careful about the timings and what other games you've got. The Europa League, I mean, once again, it depends who you get, because there is going to be good teams in that as well. So I would say them two are going to be more difficult. And with the league itself, I mean, I still think City are going to come through and win it. I would say if so, therefore, going on that, I mean, if we get 1 trophy, that's good. If we get 2 trophies, it's a really, really strong season. And obviously solidify in the top 4 and make sure we're in the top 4 and just push City as hard as we can, really. I think that would be a good season. Considering we've got 4 brand new midfielders, we've got a team that have been missing a couple of players for about a month by the time we get to the end of January. So I would say 1, maybe 2 trophies. 1 trophy would be a good season and top 4. and then 2 trophies would be a magnificent season and top 4.
Yeah,
I think compared to where we were last season, I think just top 4 would be a good season to get back in the Champions League where we belong. However, obviously, I'll take any trophy. Of course I will. But it cannot be the FA Cup or the League Cup and not top 4. We have to obviously build on that. And I've gone on record saying that it'll matter so much what we do in January. I mean, you'll probably throw this back in my face, Trav, come April, May, but I'm not even sure we have to do anything in January. Yes, we need a top CDM, but I don't think ultimately our success this season is going to depend or not on that. I mean, we've got Bajcetic coming back from injury, and I'm a big fan of his. Alexis McAllister is settling in well. Endo's come into massive form. We've got 3 out of that world-class front 5 to pick from. We've got the 2 left backs coming back soon, Tsimikas, Robertson. A lot of it, of course, could end up on Alisson getting injured, Van Dijk getting injured, Salah getting injured. Of course it could. But to me, I want the league. And if that meant that we dipped out of the FA Cup, honestly, today, if we got beat, I would have shrugged my shoulders. Like, it's good to get through. It's good to compound Arsenal's misery. The winless in 4 now. It's great. I'll take it every day of the week. But I just hope it doesn't derail this push to the top of the league. I just want to go really hard in the league and see what can happen.
I think what you're saying, though, is that because you're not favourites to win the league, if you don't win the league, it's not a bad season if you don't win it, if that makes sense. As much as you want the league, it's hard. It's hard to win this, especially against this Man City team that have been just so consistent. Like, to even win it once is unbelievable that you've done within this Pep Guardiola era. So, I mean, they're in striking distance. If they win the game in hand, I think they're a couple of points off, which it doesn't make them overwhelming favourites. You've got a fantastic chance. Whenever you've challenged for the league and not won it, you've always been brilliant. Do you know what I mean? You've lost it by a point once. Do you know what I mean? I think Liverpool, the way Klopp's responded, because I doubted whether Klopp could go again. Not his credentials as a manager, but I thought last season, did he think, oh, can I be bothered to go again? But he's shown me as a neutral and from the outside looking in that he's bang on it. Do you know what I mean? And the team have been bang on it. In terms of transfers, like you said, I don't think there's anyone out there that's available that's going to really strengthen what you've got at the moment. When I look at it. And the thing is with Liverpool, you're massively outscoring teams as well. So even if you've got those dodgy games sometimes where you give teams opportunities and you concede 1 or 2, especially at Anfield, I've always got that feeling that you're going to come back. Even if I'm not watching the game and I look on Sky Sports and you're losing 2-1 at home, I feel like you're going to win 3-2. And
that's the way I felt about Arsenal last year, Trav.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like you saying that as a neutral.
Yeah, I do.
The only thing is that'll work till it doesn't. And when the pressure comes on, it quite often doesn't work. So I would say...
And that's where Arsenal now are. Sorry, that's where Arsenal are now, in it, OB?
Yeah, it is. And some of the performances we've had this season haven't been amazing. And some of the large parts of the game, we haven't been absolutely amazing. But what we've shown is grit, determination, rode the luck a little bit, but also not allowed ourselves to be out of any football game. And once you do that, you then get to 75 minutes plus, and you think, we can do this, and with the impact subs that we can bring onto the pitch, we can make a difference, and that's huge. I don't think with a finished article. I don't think we're anywhere near it. I think what will be key is the personnel and who's available for the rest of the season, how he then adapts that and makes sure that works in the games. And I think, like I said, the FA Cup and the Europa League, I think the draw for both of them is absolute key. So we could be lucky, or we could end up with a couple of really, really difficult ties. And then it's just a case of what do we need to cut? Because there's going to be so many games that come at that point. It's going to come thick and fast. And what your injuries at that point as well. It'll be a case of, look, we can't chase 4. Let's just wind this back. You know what I mean? Or let's go and let's see if the kids can pull one out the bag. Like that FA Cup game quite a few years ago against Everton, where he basically went, I can't do it. and he just put the kids out and hoped to get a victory, and they did. And you almost need that moment. You know what I mean? You almost need that moment to go, okay, I know I can't do this, but I believe in these boys. I'll put them out and let's see what happens.
Trav, what do you think will be a successful season for us?
Similar to what you boys have said. I mean, I think from this point, cup competitions, you can never guarantee you're going to win them. It's the same with the league as well. I think, like you said, if you can establish yourself, I think top 4 for me is nailed on Liverpool. The way that you're scoring goals, the way that you're so dominant at Anfield. I don't think you've lost a game in the league at Anfield. I think this season, top 4 for me is absolutely nailed on, and you have got a chance of winning the league. So for me, that's already set. Like you said, it looks like it's going to be a Liverpool-Chelsea Carabao Cup final, which I think Liverpool go into that game slight favourites. I know Chelsea are probably playing well and maybe deserve to have picked up more points than they have done, but you'd probably fancy Liverpool slightly in that cup final. I think the other 2 competitions, like you said, are totally draw dependent. I think the Europa League, I've not even really looked at the teams in the Europa League, to be fair, but it is a strong competition. I don't think it gets the respect that it does because it's always classed as a little bit of banter in relation to like the Champions League. But it is, do you know what I mean? It is a strongish competition. It really is. There's some good teams in there. There's a few teams that drop out of the Champions League as well. So you'd probably say Liverpool and one other of those teams. But like you said, you can't win them all. And Obi's bang on. Last season, he called it when we were in the Carabao Cup final. We fell off after that. We won that Carabao Cup final and our performances went through the floor. It was awful, plummeted. And like you said, you can't max out in all 4 competitions. You can't play at the same performance level. Have you got the depth of squad to be able to manage that many competitions? And there's going to become a point where you're going to have to prioritize what you want. If you're still in the hunt for the league, I'm sure he's going to prioritize that over anything with 10 games to go. Do you know what I mean? If we're putting out weakened teams in the cups, if you're still in them, if you're still in the chance of winning the league. So I think top 4 and one of the cups is an excellent season for Liverpool.
He wouldn't have gone this strong if we had a game next weekend, would he, Obi?
No.
He's played a blinder here with us having a break now.
Yeah, so we've got the Fulham game on Wednesday, then we're not playing at the weekend, but then we're playing the following weekend, aren't we? And then half of the teams in the league aren't playing the following weekend, aren't they? That's right. So I imagine he's probably factored it in. It has landed at a good time for us. It wasn't a nice tie. And normally in the FA Cup, what happens is 2 big teams meet each other and the home team normally wins. And that pretty much happens as a rule all of the time. It's very rare you go away and get an away day win in the FA Cup against another one of the bigger teams in the league. So massive win. The team can take a lot of confidence from it. I imagine he's going to have to patch up some of the players and look at what he's got for Wednesday, and that could be a bit of a worry. It could make Wednesday quite testing, I think.
We at home Wednesday?
Yeah, we're at home in the first leg, and then we're away. I think is it 2 weeks later, and it's like that could be difficult. And it's like, do you want to go all out and try and nail the tie down, or put a bit of distance between us and Fulham early on? Or do you just go out, think, I want to win the game and I believe that we can go down Craven Cottage and get a result? Because that Fulham team can run really hot and cold and you just do not know what you're going to get. There's some real quality players in that team. And they showed, like they did against Arsenal, that there's quality throughout the side. And they're not someone who's just going to roll over necessarily. So we've got to be right for them. And he's got to work out how he's going to approach this. And I suppose he's got to play off what players will be back, what players won't be back, what players does he expect to be fit? Is there going to be any fresh injuries? How does he manage that? So, interesting few weeks for him, really.
How times have changed, us giving this much thought to League Cup games. Alex Ferguson, do you remember? He was probably the first one to start playing all the resis, all the youths. Other clubs followed. It was just basically a throwaway competition, wasn't it? And now it's definitely in the FA Cup. People go strong straight away in the FA Cup too.
I want to see
the League Cup and FA Cup again.
I want to see the FA Cup getting that status back there. I'm so glad they put it back on BBC, because there was a period of time where it was on like BT Sport and no one could be bothered and stuff like. But it being back on BBC, can you remember back in the day when it was like a full-day thing on the final and the coverage was like 9 in the morning and David James had the white suit on and stuff like that at the old Wembley?
You had to go there, didn't you?
Yeah.
So much. I genuinely do. Like, the FA Cup was a great competition and it still is, and it's lost its like aura and its magic. I don't know if it's down to financial reasons or whatever, but they need to bring the magic back, man. Like you said, it'd be good to get. It's good that it's back on BBC, and let's get some more good ties. Let's hope there's another tie around like this one in the next round.
When's the draw? Does anyone know?
I think it's
after our game tomorrow when we go out against Wigan.
Oh, yeah.
and that's the thing. You almost want to see. I mean, it'd be lovely to see. What was the National League South? Was it Maidstone who went through
Maidstone
on the weekend?
Yeah.
You almost want them to have a home tie against a Premier League team, or you know what I mean, and or even an away tie against a Premier League team, and just that moment. You know what I mean? Give them that moment, and a couple of decent teams from the Championship maybe be at home to a couple of Premier League teams, a couple of Premier League big boys. That would be good as well. So, kind of want them types of draws. I mean. You know what will happen. Or Liverpool will get another one of the big six away from home. Just see it coming.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
Telling you,
come on, Maidstone at home. Maidstone at home.
It's amazing that Man City seem to get so many easy draws.
We do as well. I can't even deny that. United, especially in the Carabao Cup last year when we won the Carabao Cup, our draws were so easy. Everyone
in both cups, didn't you get like 15 home draws in a row or something?
Yeah, in a row or something stupid.
And then Man City got Maidstone in the Champions League, didn't they? Or someone
final.
Of that ilk.
The final. Yeah, amazing.
Right, let's stop gassing about Liverpool. Trav, let's come to you as the neutral. Arteta's struggling, isn't he?
Yeah, well,
winless in 4, and then all I see on Twitter is we've got to sign this, sign that. We need a gunman, another 100 million. Who we buying?
Yeah, they've become a little bit predictable, I must admit. I mean, I speak to my mum about it. She's a gooner. And she's been saying, I'll give her credit. She has been saying this for quite a long time, for about 10, 12 games, saying we're not actually playing well. We're like getting lucky. We're getting over the line. We're not convincing. We're not clinical. We have so many chances, but we don't take them. And our luck's going to run out. And it looks like it's run out earlier than I would have thought so. I mean, today's game in the first half, like you said, they didn't really test Alisson, but they had a lot of openings with the last pass, or they didn't quite make the right decision and it didn't come off. So they had a lot of opportunities in that sense. But again, it's like they're not showing the quality that they did last season. I know they've got a couple of injuries, but all clubs have. It's not down to injuries. And like you said, I think Arteta now has to go back to the drawing board and look at something different, a different approach. Not a totally different approach, but when it's getting into the final third, what is he doing? I know they've got players like Timber and stuff to come back party, but yeah, I think he'll be concerned with the lack of goals and the goals that they're conceding now. Like you said, that's 2 against West Ham, 2 the game before, 2 against today. They've been rock solid before the last 5 games, really 5 or 6 games. So yeah, I think he'll be concerned at both ends of the pitch.
It feels to me that it's the midfield that are costing them, Trav. Would you agree with that? If you think of last season, the midfield, like most great teams, the midfield is the greatest attribute. You had Odegaard in double figures, I'm sure. Xhaka was turned into like a goal-scoring number 8. They haven't got that this season. Partey, OB's already mentioned, probably the best CDM in the league the whole of last season. Now it just looks all a bit disjointed. Odegaard's out of form. Declan Rice, is he an 8? Is he a 6? You've got Jorginho getting games. You've got Kai Havertz in the 8. To me, that's where he's lost the plot.
Yeah, like Xhaka's probably a bigger miss than everyone like thought he was going to be. He was unbelievable last year. The balance of, I mean, similar to when we signed Mason Mount as that number 8, and I know Havertz had come into a little bit of form, but I never felt comfortable with the Havertz signing. I wasn't 100% sure where he was going to play or how it was going to fit into the side. The injury to Timber as well was a big miss, because he started the season fantastically in pre-season and he was inverting and he was very comfortable playing alongside a holding midfielder in terms of the way they wanted to build up. And I think Zinchenko has struggled defensively as well. So yeah, they've got problems. And like you said, unless you've got wingers like Salah who get 30 goals a season. You need a striker who's going to take the burden off him. And like you said last year, I think Saka and Martinelli probably both got between 10 to 15, and them goals have dropped off now. So it's going to hurt them because they haven't got a centre forward that scores a lot of goals as well. So yeah, I think it's a lot more noticeable this year than it was last because the figures are down.
Martinelli, OB, are you having him?
I think
I've had a bit of banter on Twitter trying to wind up some Arsenal fans that Martinelli is on the same level as Anthony at Man U. That is tongue in cheek. It's tongue in cheek, right? Certainly,
man.
Right.
Certainly, when we're talking stats, and I'm a fan of him, but they need more, don't they?
They possibly do, but I think he's possibly struggling because there's nobody to play the ball into in the middle a lot of the time. They almost seem to drop deep and look for a cutback, etc. But I thought he was good when he come on today. I thought Bradley dealt with him well the last few minutes, but then I think Trent was getting ghosted by him a couple of times, and I thought he was getting on top of him. And it was just the fact that Konate was reading the game so well that come across and sort of covered. But I rate Martinelli really, really highly. I think if they ever don't want him or if they ever think he's not going to do anything, have him at Liverpool every day of the week.
They just lack experience, don't they, Arsenal? Like they look like you said, when plan A don't work, what do they do next? Like, what is their next plan? What is the next plan of attack? And like you said, Martinelli is so good, so is Saka, but that predictability of just Martinelli getting it, trying to run down the line, looking for a cutback. When that's not working, what else has he got to his game? So
yeah,
it's that next step now. How does Arteta kick those players on? So it's going to be interesting to see over the next couple of months how he does that.
I think he's got a bit of the Pep Guardiola. And obviously, he come up and he's been educated by Pep on management and leadership and styles of play. But there's points where you watch these teams and they're not as exciting to watch as some of the others. And there's unnecessary touches in there. Now, I'm sure it's all part of a bigger plan to get people on the ball and get them doing things and wear the opposition down, because you see City do it all the time. But I don't feel like there's any plan B from Arsenal. If anything, the plan B is to touch the ball more times and pass the ball 100 times at the back rather than 80, and it's just like, it doesn't feel like there's any thought process to how they're going to score goals quickly and in abundance at points in the game. And it must be worrying to watch them because there's so many talented footballers out there.
Do you think that's on Arteta, OB? That he's not showing enough flexibility? I mean, Jurgen Klopp's decisions this season and a lot in the last 7 years have been like world class. He'll change the shape from the 4-3-3 that he prefers to a 4-2-4. He'll switch Salah into the middle. He's put Gakpo out on the right. Remember against Man U, he tried to unlock Man U and change the shape drastically. It didn't have a great outcome, but if you think of Arsenal, is that arrogance from Arteta? He never seems to change the shape. He'll change the personnel, but you'll never flip a Saka into the middle and a Martinelli on the right and go 4-2-4 or something. It's a bit arrogant, really. You're not the same team as last season, clearly. The stats show that. I think they're about 10 points worse off this point than they were last season.
Absolutely. And if you look at Pep Guardiola when he first came over, he kept playing with the same style. And what he's done is over time, he's learned to change in game. And I would say that Pep and Klopp, where they shine above the other managers in the league for me, is their in-game management and in-game going, this isn't working and this is what I'm going to do to change it. And they've almost got like a playbook of players that they'll go, right, okay, we're switching to this and we've trained for this and we know what we need to do in this circumstance. You all continue to know your role, know your responsibilities, know what I want from you to do and able to do it. And that's purely down to great coaching. It's got to be. They know what they need to change to. The players are clear about how they're going to play it. You don't see bits of paper getting handed amongst them that much either, them two teams in particular. It's because they've taught it into them, whereas you see other teams, I mean, you see it with Newcastle all the time, don't you? They're constantly like, off the cuff, or we need to do this differently, whereas I think these guys are now planning for these scenarios and it's just the depth of which they're planning. Arteta is clearly for me, not at that level yet, because he can't change a game. I can't influence a game to the same level as M2, but
No.
he's a great coach. He's obviously doing really, really well. I mean, we've seen the behind the scenes documentary, and he was very likable in that. And he's clearly got a lot of good players at the club with a lot of skill from a technical perspective. But it's that ability to go, this isn't working, and this is what I'm going to do to change it because I know it'll work, and this is why it'll work. And he's clear in his own head. He doesn't do that, and he isn't at that level yet.
Trav, one FA Cup in 5 years. Is that pressure? I mean, does he have to does he have to build on last season and improve it this season, or this will be a failure?
Nah, I think that's very black and white. I mean, I think Arsenal do have to challenge for the league this year. If they don't win it, I don't think you'll be talking about sacking the manager, because as you've just alluded to, those two at the top are just so good, and they are just so far ahead of the others. Like, that's the thing. Like, even if Arteta was maxing it out, he still might not win it. And I think you can sort of say the same for Klopp or Pep on the other side. Like, that other manager might just outperform them in that one given season so much that there's not really a lot you can do. But I think with Arteta, more than arrogance, I just put it down to an experience. Like, he's a lot younger than Klopp. He's not been around the block like Klopp has. Klopp knows what to do because he's been there and done it. Do you know what I mean? He's proven it at more than one club as well. He's done it at Dortmund, big on the European circuit. If you think about Arteta, this is his first ever managerial role. So I think he's massively overachieved in terms of the level he's got Arsenal to. Whether he can get over the line with Arsenal in terms of bringing them a title remains to be seen. So I don't always like the word failure in certain circumstances, but I know what you're saying. I think,
or bottling.
Yeah, well, there is pressure. There is pressure at all top clubs. There is pressure. Do you know what I mean? And at Arsenal, they used to challenge him for the leagues. Albeit 20 years ago or whatever, but in this era of football, they've won the leagues under Arsene Wenger and stuff. So their fans are going to have an expectation where at some point they're going to want to see the league title. So Arteta's certainly not going to get a free ride for 15 years, just finishing third. At some point, they're going to want to have to cut ties because they want to bring in a man that can do the job and bring the trophy. But I think 4 years into his tenure, from where the team was to now, I think it's been brilliant. But I think from this point onwards, over the next couple of years, they'll be saying, right, we need to see the title. If we're going to keep spending big cash as well, 100 million on Rice, they're looking at 100 million on Osman. Other players have come in for big money. Do you know what I mean? Pepe came, he didn't work out. And there's other players that they're looking at bringing in next year. I think you'll see the pressure crank up over the next couple of seasons.
Obi, we're top of the league and just beat Arsenal away with not our strongest team. Pinch yourself, or do we deserve to be here?
I think I put on a Facebook status right after the game saying no Salah, no Van Dijk, no problem. You know, and that's how it feels. It feels like it's like a massive moment to be able to do that, being under, like, missing a couple of key players. We always say though, Scott, don't we? Like, there's 3 players that are key to us. If we haven't got Salah, if we haven't got Van Dijk, we ain't got Alisson, we worry. And we've just gone out and beat Arsenal away with 2 of the 3 missing. That's big. That's big.
And Alisson didn't have to do like too much, did he? Let's be honest.
No, he didn't. And I think when
it was more Arsenal's finishing. A few people saying they should have scored 8 in the first half, but that's on Arsenal, not Alisson. It wasn't like he was saving top corner or anything like that.
No. And bizarrely, the moment that really mattered for him was when he took the ball from the corner in injury time. You know what I mean? He didn't punch it away, took it, collected it, and put it down. That must have broke the hearts. And it's just big.
He got up a bit quickly for my liking, though, Obi.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I wanted him to be like Jordan Pickford, but I wanted him to roll on the floor for like 20 seconds. But he jumped up. I was like, come on, slow it down. Come on, Alisson.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. I think he was in control, and I think he smashed the ball down the park, didn't he, if I remember rightly? So he knew where he was putting it. I think it's a big step, but what I would say is a note of caution is it's only early January. Things can change really, really quickly. The draw for the next round of the FA Cup's massive. Draw for the Europa League's massive. We've got a little bit of a break, but we've got some big games coming up. We play Arsenal away again. Is it start of February? So that's going to be another really, really tough game.
I don't think it's even the start of February, is it? Is it the start of February? Have we got Chelsea before them?
I think we've got Chelsea before. I could be wrong, though. But I think we've got some really tough games coming up, and things can unravel really quickly. So optimistic, but cautiously optimistic is where I am at the moment.
Do you think we're surpassing expectations, Obi?
I don't know.
I mean, obviously, I think I was quite downbeat over the summer. Not saying I was writing us off, but...
Yeah, but Scott, as a club, we should be in and around where we are, because that's where we belong. So, but as an expectation, we probably doubt ourselves a little bit with new signings coming in, and we're not really... It's fear of the unknown, isn't it? And you didn't really know how they were going to settle in, but we have got...
And we missed out on probably social medias anyway, and probably mine as well. I'll take the L. Probably missed out on our top targets, didn't we? Yeah, obviously we're looking at Jude Bellingham, Josko Gvardiol. We would have all took him. He went to Man City instead.
Caicedo, Lavia. We missed out on all of these guys, and then we went elsewhere, and seems to have done all right. So it's worked out okay for him. And I mean, I think Klopp alluded to it when he did that talk, that he feels like he dodged a bullet with one or two of them. So I think that's a positive thing.
I wasn't sure about that comment when he said it.
No, I don't think.
Who am I to question Jurgen Klopp?
Yeah, for me, Caicedo is a great player, and I think Lavia is going to end up being a top player as well. So I don't think we've dodged a bullet. I think it's just helped us in the terms of what we need to do for this one season. But longer term, they're going to be successes. I've got no doubt about that, both of them.
I mean, there it is there. Yes, we've got Fulham at home in the EFL Cup. Then we've got Bournemouth away in the league. Fulham away again. And then it's home to Chelsea, away to Arsenal. I mean, by the 4th of February, we're going to know so much more, aren't we? I feel like Chelsea got a bit of a hex over us these days. Every game seems to be 0-0. And then away to Arsenal, we've got to go and do that all over again, still with no Salah. Van Dijk will be back. Who knows where Arsenal will be themselves come that game, because obviously they're winless in 4 now, but it's all to play for, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll come back stronger as well. I'm sure Arteta will find a way to beat the next few teams that he plays, because there's still loads of quality in that team. And I'm sure they'll be doing a lot of working on making sure that they put the ball in the back of the net more.
Should we see who they've got?
Yeah, let's do that. They'll buy somebody as well. I'm pretty sure. I think they'll end up buying Tony.
Has that come up on the shared screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Away to Palace. Sorry, home to Palace, away to Forest. Then they've got us at home. Away to West Ham. West Ham have just beat them at the Emirates. Home to Newcastle. Home to Brentford. Yeah, they've got some favourable fixtures coming up. But yeah, let's not worry too much about Arsenal. So there we have it. Sorry, lads, I'm going to have to go through a few comments because Jose's been firing all the comments. Jose, really appreciate you watching, mate. As always, legend. I was waiting, mate. I had to come on YouTube to check. I have 2 channels with notifications on as yours and my X channel too. Appreciate that, mate. Martinelli's quicker than Anthony, but both still sleep with their ex. Jesus. Have I just heard someone say Arteta's a great coach?
He is.
I'm depressed. We're always here for you, Jose. Don't ever worry about that, brother. Liverpool belongs at the top. Arsenal belongs to small things. There you have it. Right. Just over an hour. Travis,
It's been
James,
a pleasure as always.
appreciate you attending as always. Travis, do you want to do something tomorrow night for Wigan Man U?
Yeah.
I'm available if you are. Maybe a second half watch along or a 10 p.m. match reaction.
Yeah, we can do a match reaction.
Hit me up, brother, and we'll be on. If anyone's made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. What's Jose saying? Great stream. Cheers, brother. Really appreciate it. Jose, you're the man. So yeah, Liverpool into the 4th round of the FA Cup. If anyone's made it this far and you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us out loads. Obi, Travis, nice one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Header. But Gerrard! Oh, you beauty! What a head, son! What